Coming up on this edition of the Raptor Report, the basketball postseason is in full swing for both Montgomery College teams, and we've got an in-depth look at the Raptors tournament action. In women's hoops, the Raptors were plagued by injuries in the second half of the regular season, but they entered the postseason determined to defend their Region 20 crown. We'll show you how they did and also chat live in studio with head coach Tarlouh Gasque and Jameelah Thalley, one of the team co-captains. On the men's side, it was a tough year for the Raptors in the regular season, and it hasn't gotten much easier in the postseason. We'll have a report on how they fared in the Maryland JUCO tournament. All this and much more on this edition of the Raptor Report, starting now. Hi everybody, I'm Michael Brown and welcome to the Raptor Report. It's a great time for sports here at Montgomery College. Baseball, softball, track, and tennis are all gearing up for their first season in Raptors purple. We're right in the thick of the basketball postseason, and Montgomery College has two teams ranked in the national top 10 in NJCAA Division III. So let's get things started with a look at the basketball postseason. And even though the Montgomery College women's team was 20-6 and the #1 seed heading into the Region 20 tournament, there was serious concern over whether they could defend their title and move on to the district championship game. In the Maryland JUCO tournament the weekend before, things hadn't really come together for the Raptors. In the first round, a solid Hagerstown squad took them to overtime. The Raptors squeaked by with a 65-61 win. Capria Redparth led the way with 20 points and 19 rebounds. 2 days later, though, they were unable to overcome a 17-point halftime deficit and were bounced out of the tournament in the second round by Division II Chesapeake College, 64-38. In addition to the disappointing showing in Maryland JUCO, the injury situation was becoming a concern. They lost second leading scorer Megan Tillman for the season with a torn meniscus. Sophomore stars Capria Redparth and Jameelah Thalley were nursing groin injuries, and post presence Jocelyn Martin was plagued by a swollen knee. The injuries seemed to sap the team's morale in the Maryland JUCO tournament, and head coach Tarlouh Gasque, normally very positive, was concerned heading into the Region 20 tournament. She gave her team most of the week off heading into it, and the players spent that time in the trainer's room taking ice baths to ease the pain. So as the Region 20 tournament approached, the other teams in the field, Prince George's Community College, CCAC Boys, and Westmoreland, definitely were thinking upset. Prince George's Community College played host to the Region 20 tournament, and the Raptors drew the home team in the first round. PG looked confident in pregame warm-ups, started the game hot, and grabbed an early lead. The Raptors seemed a little tentative, and their early shots weren't falling. But then guard Jameelah Thalley kick-started things with a couple of steals leading to fast break baskets. The Raptors soon took the lead and never relinquished it. Jartu Talway had a solid first half and got everyone involved with numerous pinpoint assists. Jocelyn Martin shook off 2 early fouls and was dominant down low. Angelica Ceccone nailed a trio of threes, and Capria Redparth was everywhere, scoring, rebounding, and running the break. A strong run midway through the first half pushed MC to a 41-22 halftime lead. And the second half was more of the same. The Raptors' defense set the tone and kept a lid on PG's offense. Prince George's kept putting up threes, but they weren't falling. And they couldn't get the ball inside, and even when they did, they couldn't score against Martin and Redparth. Ceccone was dominant on both ends of the court and led the team with 24 points. Martin added 17 and Redparth 11. Talway turned in a solid 40 minutes, never once leaving the game, as the Raptors rolled to a 70-49 first-round win. That win set up the championship game where the Raptors faced the Saints from CCAC Boyce. Boyce was fresh off an upset win over #2 seed Westmoreland 49-41 in the first round. They came out strong, hitting a couple of threes to grab the early lead. Once again, the Raptors started slowly and the shots just weren't falling. However, the key again was defense. Coach Gasque called a timeout and ordered up the press. She had scouted Boyce and knew the press would bother their ball handlers. The strategy paid off, threw Boyce out of sync, and importantly, increased the pace of the game. Boyce likes to walk the ball up the court, and the hectic pace was more than they could handle. Redpath hit several key shots off sharp assists from Tarlouh and Thalley. Martin was unstoppable down low. Boyce simply had no one who could match up with the strong, quick, and accurate sophomore. And point guard Tarlouh played a nearly flawless first half, setting up the offense and finding open teammates on seemingly every possession. When Redpath converted a steal at the end of the half, the Raptors went into the locker room with a 38-24 lead and the momentum. The second half was all MC, and Boyce never knew what hit them. The Raptor defense came out on fire, picked off 3 early steals, and converted on each one. Redpath continued to score almost at will, and Martin owned the paint. The stifling Raptors D held Boyce scoreless for the first 5 minutes of the half, and with just over 13 minutes left in the game, they had scored just 1 second half point. By then, it was not a matter of if MC would win. The only question was by how much. Tarlouh continued her strong floor leadership, Martin her unstoppable ways, Redpath hardly seemed to miss a shot, and Ceccone got on track after a slow first half. It was all just too much for the Boyce Saints. They had no answer and never mounted a run. In the end, the Raptors emerged with a dominant 82-49 victory over the Saints to take the Region 20 championship. Redpath put up 25, Martin 17, Tarlouh 13, and Ceccone 12. After the game, all the injuries were ignored and the inconsistent play from the Maryland JUCO tournament a distant memory. MC had defended their Region 20 crown, and to the victors go the spoils. Jocelyn Martin, Jartu Tarlouh, and Angelica Ceccone were named to the all-tournament team, and frankly, Capria Redpath belonged on that team also. The entire MC team played great all weekend. Sunday's championship game was the best I've seen them play all year.
They've stepped up just like I asked them to. I gave everybody some time off so we could kind of heal mentally and physically and get it together, and they've stepped up. I'm proud of them.
And you could make a case that the entire starting 5 could have been named MVP, but that's not how it works. MVP honors went to sophomore Jocelyn Martin. She was a dominant presence in both games. Neither Prince George's nor Boyce had an answer for her strength, accuracy, and surprising quickness. Plus, she was bullseye from the foul line and played solid defense. Over the 2 games, she scored 34 points and grabbed 25 rebounds. We caught up with Jocelyn after the big win. They just didn't have an answer for you, did they?
I guess not. But as long as I keep my head up and stay focused, you can accomplish anything. So as long as you keep that in mind, you can do anything.
MC's big win in the Region 20 tournament set the stage for the NJCAA District G Championship game against Region 17 champ, the Middle Georgia Technical College Titans. The Titans entered the 4-team Region 17 tournament as the 3rd seed and pulled off a huge upset over number 1 seed Georgia Northwestern Tech 64-58 to set the stage for the district championship matchup against the Raptors. The district championship game is going to be right here on MC's Rockville campus on Saturday, March 2nd at 2 p.m., and MCTV Sports will be broadcasting the game. The winner advances to the NJCAA Division III National Championship Tournament in Rochester, Minnesota later this month. In men's basketball, the difficult season and tough luck for this team continued to dog them in the Maryland JUCO tournament. After finishing the regular season on a bit of a losing skid, the team hoped to catch some lightning in a bottle and turn it around in the Maryland JUCO tournament. But it just wasn't meant to be, as they lost a tough one in the first round to Baltimore City 99-70. Freshman Phoenix Butler Poole continued his stellar play and led the way with 23 points and 7 rebounds, and 3 other starters hit double figures, but ultimately it wasn't enough. However, Butler Poole's season-long excellence for the Raptors was recognized as he was named All-Maryland JUCO Honorable Mention. Next up for the Raptors is the NJCAA Division III Men's Region 20 Tournament at CCAC Allegheny up in Pittsburgh. We'll have the results on next month's show. And stick with us, because right after this quick break, we'll have a live in-studio interview with the head coach of the MC Raptors women's team, Tarlouh Gasque, and starting guard Jameelah Thalley. You're watching the Raptor Report.
Whether you're a recent high school graduate, career-changing adult, or seeking professional or personal development, Montgomery College has what you're looking for. We offer more than 130 programs of study as well as workforce development and continuing education to prepare you for a rewarding future. Take advantage of our small class sizes, award-winning faculty, and flexible scheduling. Evening, weekend, and online classes offered. Apply today. Montgomery College, endless possibilities. 240-567-5000.
Welcome back to the Raptor Report. And with us now are two very special guests, Tarlouh Gasque, the head coach of the women's basketball team, and Jameelah Thalley, co-captain of the team and also starting guard. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Coach, let's start with you. Now, entering the Region 20 tournament, I know you were a little bit apprehensive. Let's talk about some of the mindset that was going on there with you.
Yeah, we had just discovered that we lost our starting shooting guards, the leading scorer, to grades. And then the team was coming down with a lot of injuries. So we had knees and groins, and everybody was really, it got to the point where looking at practice was not fun.
Well, and then you lost right after, or after the first game of Maryland JUCO, you lost Megan Tillman, who was your #2 scorer.
That's right. Yeah, we lost her due to a knee injury, and so now I'm looking at a very thin bench with, 5 solid starters, but very, the talent is a lot lighter on the bench after that, where I had a pretty deep team previously to that.
Well, and the other factor there is that because you've got the 5 solid starters, they're playing a lot of minutes.
Correct. They're all where we actually could sub before, and people were seeing 20 and maybe 15 minutes here or there. Now they have to play pretty much 40 minutes almost, and then watch the fouls.
Yeah, and that's tough on the body.
That is.
But anyway, you get through the first round with ease. You whipped up on PG 70-49. That was a lot of fun to watch. And then you took on Boyce, and CCAC Boyce. You started out a little bit slow in that game also. The first few shots weren't falling. But I noticed 2 key things that really got you guys on track. And one of them is sitting right here with us, Jameelah Thalley. Jameelah, your defense, well, throughout the entire weekend, but particularly in key stretches of that Boyce game, really got your team on track. You take a lot of pride in your defense, don't you?
Yes, I do a lot, because defense wins games.
But it's hard, right? Defense is a difficult thing.
It is, but you have to train yourself mentally to pull through and fight until you get that ball.
And meanwhile, you're operating with a leg injury.
2 groin injuries. It's very, very painful, but we are working on recovering and resting and icing and strengthening so we can continue to move forward.
Well, that's good. That's good. Now, the other key that happened at about the same time, you called a timeout. You put the press on. Why'd you do that?
Well, I noticed with Boyce, we haven't seen Boyce this year. So even though they're in the Region 20, we didn't have the opportunity to play them. We had played Westmoreland that played them previously. And we watched the game. But one of the things that stuck out to me was they had 1 key ball handler. The rest of them were really weak in terms of handling the ball. And I'm kind of watching this and going, okay, we need to put the pressure on them and see how well they can handle the ball. Actually, prior to the game, in pregame, I had told the team we needed to run the press, but for some reason, they didn't do so. So I'm kind of getting frustrated. I'm sitting there and watching them go up and down and playing with a team that really we shouldn't be playing with. And that's when I called the timeout and said, okay, guys, you need to do it now. I'm tired of watching this, so do it. And I guess that's what I needed to do. Maybe I should have done it earlier, but it still worked out.
Oh, it worked out just fine. It worked out just fine. I mean, as evidenced by the final score, 82-49. And the other thing I noticed was not only did they not have the ball handlers for it, I don't think they had the athletes to keep up with the pace.
Correct. I mean, one of the things, I know my players don't like me because I run them a lot, but it pays off when you get into games because especially now that we're having to play a full game, they're not, their tongues aren't hanging out. They can still sprint up and down the court. And I try to actually work strategically to make sure we can do that the whole game.
So All right, so you win the Region 20 championship handily, I might add. You defend your title. Now you move on to the district championships. And like I said earlier, I know you were a little bit apprehensive going into Region 20 about your team and about how things were going to turn out. How do you feel now?
Oh, I feel a whole lot better now. I don't doubt that we're going to win the game just because the team, I think, has come together. They finally realize that there's something about numbers when you're small in numbers where I think it really makes you stronger because they realize that they have to rely on each other. They got to communicate better. They got to make sure, you know, what I tried to tell them is how we work is how we can kind of make sure we can rest. You can rest and still play the game at the same time, but it's how you play it. And you don't expend a whole lot of energy if you work together as a team. So they got to listen to my instructions, do what I tell them to do, and basically work as a team. And I'm seeing it. I see they've come together. They kind of know where each other are going to be. We're boxing out and rebounding better. I think it's all coming together when it's supposed to. So I'm really excited about Saturday.
Well, you guys looked as sharp as I've seen you all year. And this young lady here, Jameelah, is a big part of why you guys are playing for the district championship, isn't she? She certainly is.
She certainly is. I mean, Jameelah, the defensive end of things is very strong. Scoring, she came through here the last few games prior to the tournament. Actually, she kept us in games with 20-point games. So I just think she's been pivotal. And then the leadership, too, you know, speaking up, talking to her teammates, and struggling through what is painful. You know, playing with groin injuries is not easy. I've had them before, so I can relate.
Well, let's talk about your leadership. And before we do, I want to mention that you were named All-Maryland JUCO, yes, and for good reason. Listen to these stats: over 13 points a game, almost 7 rebounds, over 4 assists, and almost 3 steals, 2.9 steals a game. That's quite a stat line. But I know that you're sort of a shy person. How did you come out of your comfort zone to become such a vocal leader on the team this year?
It was very hard. Coach G repeatedly pulled me aside and kept saying, you have to do this, you have to talk up, you have to speak up. And when your teammates are not doing what they're supposed to, you're supposed to go pull them aside, talk to them instead of doing it in front of everyone. She taught me how to talk to each and every person because everyone is different. So that's how she helped me.
Well, I've watched you in action. You're very vocal on the court, and you seem pretty comfortable in that role to me.
I am.
Yeah. All right, now, Jameelah, we are one step now from the Nationals. I know the team's goal all year long has been, let's go back to the Nationals. How does it feel to be this close, and what does the team have to do to get there?
It feels really good because we have a second opportunity to win Nationals. And we have to focus, come together as a team, remain strong, and listen to what Coach G has to say, and just pay attention to the instructions.
That sounds like great advice. Coach, real quickly, we're almost out of time, but what do we know about Middle Georgia, your opponent in the district championship game?
Based on, I've actually watched a little film on Middle Georgia. I think their ball handlers may not be as strong either, so they can plan on us being defensively attacking them. They have some shooters, have some pretty good shooters, so we need to be aware of where they are on the floor. And I think size-wise, we may present a little challenge for them.
Well, it sounds good, and we're going to be there. MCTV will be there. We're going to be broadcasting the game and putting it on YouTube for everybody to see and enjoy. So we're really looking forward to it. I want to congratulate you both again for defending your Region 20 championship. I want to wish you luck this weekend against Middle Georgia, and thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And stay right where you are because we've got a baseball preview on deck. You're watching the Raptor Report. As basketball season heads toward the finish line, baseball is getting closer to opening day. Montgomery College has one of the most successful community college programs in the nation. Under head coach Dan Rasher, they've gone to the Junior College World Series 6 out of the 7 years he's been in charge. This year, they're ranked 6th in the country in the preseason NJCAA poll.
I think anytime your team is recognized, it's an honor, by the whole group. When the NJCAA says Montgomery College is number 6 in the country, I think that's a big thing for the college and a big thing for our players. Having said that, we haven't proven anything yet. We got a whole new group every 2 years, and hopefully these guys can live up to that.
This team should be fun to watch this year because Coach Rasher predicts they'll be a better hitting club.
We're going to score more runs this year. I think we've got guys who can hit the ball out of the park, which makes runs, makes it a little easier to get a bunch of runs that way.
Now, pitching is the name of the game, and they lost a couple of good ones from last year's team, but a raft of young arms are poised to step in.
I think our major hole this year is pitching. I think when you lose Matt Sommer, he won 9 games for us last year, trying to fill in his spot, and we've got a couple guys this year that I think can do it, and guys like Jameson McGrain and Justin Sawyer and Jack Souter, and then we added Jake Taylor to the team, who's going to be a big presence on the mound for us.
Outstanding hitting potential and a bevy of solid arms on the mound are leading to some pretty lofty team goals.
I think this team has more than enough talent and more than enough heart to make it and win it. I think last year we were very satisfied with winning the region and making it to the World Series, and this year we don't care about making it to the World Series. We care about making it out of the World Series as the #1 team in the country.
We have a lot of great leaders, and there's no question in my mind that we can not only get to Texas, but we can win it all. So I know it's going to take a lot of hard work, but I'm pretty sure we can do it.
Well, with basketball playoffs, road trips, and tons of baseball games on tap, you really have to wonder how these athletes balance school and sports. So I found out the old-fashioned way. I asked some of them.
It gets really stressful sometimes, but I just kind of try to stay calm and focused, because really that's the only way you're going to get your work done here on the court and off the court in a classroom.
As far as life is concerned, I've learned here that it's very important to manage your time. I mean, we're out here playing ball 3-4 hours a day. I still got to get my homework done, maybe make a little money here and there. So definitely time management is a big thing baseball's taught me.
I set up a schedule. I sit down with Coach G and I go over all the time the time of my classes and the breaks and the gaps that I have between classes, and I try to fill in what I need to do in between those classes.
Well, me personally, what I do, my last class, which is accounting, finishes at around 12:40. So what I do, I just eat lunch and I stay in school before practice to make sure I get all my studying done, do all my homework, and focus in school. And then when the 3 o'clock hits, then I know I got to get my mindset into baseball, and I'm just ready to go.
So somehow, some way, these remarkable student athletes get it done on the courts, the fields, and in the classroom. These are some hard-working young people, folks. And stick with us. We'll be right back with the MCTV Sports Student Athlete of the Month after a quick break. You're watching the Raptor Report.
Whether you're a recent high school graduate, career-changing adult, or seeking professional or personal development, Montgomery College has what you're looking for. We offer more than 130 programs of study, as well as workforce development and continuing education to prepare you for a rewarding future. Take advantage of our small class sizes, award-winning faculty, and flexible scheduling. Evening, weekend, and online classes offered. Apply today. Montgomery College, endless possibilities. 240-567-5000.
Like us on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Montgomery College TV.
Welcome back, and it's time to announce this month's MCTV Sports Student Athlete of the Month. Our choice this month is Angelica Ceccone. Angelica is a starting freshman forward for the women's basketball team, and she's been a revelation to everyone this year. Because a serious knee injury kept her from playing her senior year in high school, head coach Tarlouh Gasque was not really sure what to expect. But what Ceccone has delivered has been vital to the Raptors' success. She averages nearly 10 points a game and almost 8 rebounds, including 4 offensive boards a game. She also records almost 2 steals a game, and in the words of Coach Gasque, she has the knack for being in the right place at the right time. And that, my friends, is what is known as basketball intelligence. In the classroom, the Walt Whitman High School grad is an architectural technology major. When she graduates from MC, she plans to move on to a 4-year school to get her bachelor's degree while also continuing on with her basketball career. So congratulations to Angelica, a very deserving recipient of the MCTV Sports Student Athlete of the Month Award. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Raptor Report, but make sure to check back next episode. We'll find out how the postseason turned out for MC basketball, and we'll also be talking baseball, softball, track, and tennis. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/MCTV10 and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Montgomery College TV. Episodes of the Raptor Report and archived MCTV sports broadcasts are also available on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Montgomery College. Lots of ways to find out about upcoming games, watch past games, or keep up with the latest MC sports news. So we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching, everybody.